You know, if I could go back in time and give my past self one piece of advice about learning English, I'd say this: stop overcomplicating it. Seriously. We spend so much time looking for the perfect method, the best textbook, the fastest way to improve. But the real secret, it's actually much simpler than you think. I didn't believe it at first. I used to think I needed expensive courses, complicated grammar exercises, and memorizing long vocabulary lists. But let me tell you what really worked. It all changed when I did one thing. I made English part of my daily life, not as a study subject, but as something I naturally enjoyed. I stopped forcing myself to sit down with boring textbooks. Instead, I started listening to podcasts while walking, watching movies without subtitles, writing short journal entries in English, even if they were full of mistakes. And you know what? That's when I really started improving. Because here's the truth. Language is not something you memorize. It's something you live. Think about how you learned your first language. You didn't sit in a classroom memorizing grammar rules as a baby, right? You listened. You repeated. You made mistakes. And you kept going. That's exactly how I improved my English. At first, I felt awkward. I was afraid of making mistakes. But the moment I stopped caring about perfection and focused on communication, everything changed. So, if you want to improve your English, here's my advice. Listen every day. Even if you don't understand everything, your brain is learning. Speak, even if you make mistakes. Talk to yourself. Join a language group, or use voice messages with friends. Enjoy the process. Watch things you love, read what interests you, and make learning fun. The secret to learning English isn't some magical formula. It's consistency. Small steps, every day. And trust me, if you keep going, one day you'll look back and realize, wow, I actually understand English now. And that moment, it feels amazing. But let me tell you something that nobody talks about. There will be moments when you feel stuck. I know because I've been there. You'll have days when you feel like you're not improving at all. Maybe you'll listen to a podcast and understand nothing. Maybe you'll try to say something and completely freeze. Maybe you'll look at a word you learned last week and realize you've already forgotten it. That feeling is frustrating. And this is where most people give up. They think, I'm not talented enough. Maybe English just isn't for me. I'll never be fluent. I get it, I really do. But here's what you need to understand. Feeling stuck doesn't mean you're not improving. It means you're leveling up. Think about it like working out at the gym. The moment your muscles feel sore, that's when they're growing. It's the same with your brain. When you struggle to understand, when you make mistakes, when things feel difficult, that's when you're making progress. You don't see it immediately, but it's happening. And then one day, something crazy happens. You'll hear a word that used to confuse you, and suddenly you understand it. You'll watch a movie and realize you don't need subtitles. You'll talk to someone in English, and instead of translating in your head, the words just come out naturally. That's when you'll know. All that effort was worth it. But let's be honest, getting to that point isn't always easy. You need to stay consistent. Now, I know what you're thinking, but I don't have time to study every day. Guess what? You don't have to. Improving your English doesn't mean sitting at a desk for hours. It's about making English a part of your life. Try this. Change your phone language to English. You look at your phone every day. Why not make it a learning tool? Think in English. Even if it's just simple thoughts like, I need to buy bread, or that car is red. Training your brain to think in English makes a huge difference. Sing along to English songs. Who cares if you get some words wrong? It's great pronunciation practice. Talk to yourself. Seriously. Describe what you're doing. Say your thoughts out loud. It might feel silly, but it works. The key is exposure. The more you hear, see, and use English, the more natural it becomes. And you know what's even more important? Enjoying the process. If learning English feels like a boring school task, you won't stick with it. But if you make it fun, it becomes easy. For me, that meant watching YouTube videos in English, listening to interesting podcasts, and chatting with people online. And here's the funny thing. Once I stopped forcing myself to study and just started living in English, my progress exploded. I remember the first time I had a full conversation in English without struggling. It wasn't perfect, but I understood the other person and they understood me. That feeling was incredible, and I want you to experience that too. Because here's the thing, learning English isn't just about speaking a new language. It's about unlocking new opportunities. Think about it. When you improve your English, you're not just learning words and grammar. You're gaining the ability to connect with people from all over the world. You're opening doors to better jobs, more knowledge, and even new friendships. But most importantly, you're proving to yourself that you can do something difficult and succeed. And that feeling, that confidence, it doesn't just help with English, it changes your whole mindset. Let me tell you about a friend of mine. A few years ago, he could barely say a full sentence in English. He felt embarrassed every time he tried to speak. He told me, "I just don't have the talent for languages." But you know what he did? He stopped thinking about talent and started focusing on small daily improvements. Instead of worrying about his mistakes, he made a rule. Every day, he had to say at least one sentence in English. That's it. Just one sentence. At first, it was awkward. He felt uncomfortable, but he kept going. One sentence turned into two. Two turned into 10. And before he knew it, he was having full conversations. Today, he speaks English fluently. He works in an international company. He even traveled to the US and made friends there, all because he refused to give up. And guess what? He never used a complicated method. He never memorized 1,000 grammar rules. He just showed up every day. And that's exactly what I want you to do. Because the truth is, fluency isn't about intelligence. It's about consistency. If you take small steps every day, even when you don't feel motivated, even when it seems like you're not improving, eventually, those small steps turn into something big. And one day you'll look back and realize you're not just learning English, you're mastering it. But there's one more thing I need to tell you. There's one mistake that holds so many learners back. It's not grammar mistakes. It's not pronunciation. It's not vocabulary. It's fear. Fear of looking stupid. Fear of making mistakes. Fear of people laughing. And I get it. When I was learning English, I used to be so afraid of speaking. I worried that people would judge me if I said something wrong. But you know what I realized? Nobody cares. Seriously. Most people aren't sitting there analyzing your mistakes. They're just happy that you're trying to communicate. And the people who do judge you, they're not the kind of people you should listen to anyway. So here's my advice. Be okay with looking stupid. Be okay with making mistakes. Be okay with getting words wrong, messing up sentences and forgetting vocabulary. Because every time you make a mistake, you're learning. And the more mistakes you make, the faster you improve. So don't be afraid. Speak. Try. Fail. Learn. That's how fluency happens. And trust me, when you stop fearing mistakes, learning English becomes so much easier. So let me ask you this. What's stopping you from speaking English today? Are you waiting for the perfect moment? The moment when you feel 100% ready? If you are, I have bad news. That moment will never come. There will never be a day when you wake up and magically feel fluent. It doesn't work like that. The only way to get better is to start now. Even if you're not ready. Even if it feels scary. Because the sooner you start, the sooner you improve. And 1 year from now, you'll wish you had started today. So here's what I want you to do. Today, yes, today, do one thing in English. Listen to something. Write something. Say something. Just start. Because the biggest difference between people who succeed and people who don't, it's not talent, it's not luck, it's action. And if you take action today, you're already ahead of 99% of learners. Most people never take that first step. They say, I'll start tomorrow. Then tomorrow comes, and they say the same thing. Days turn into weeks, weeks into months, And before they know it, years have passed, and they're still in the same place. But not you, because you're different. The fact that you're here, listening to this, means you already have the mindset of someone who wants to improve. And that's the most important thing. You want to get better. You want to grow. And that desire, that's your superpower. Because as long as you keep that fire inside you, no matter how slow your progress feels, no matter how many times you fail, you will improve, but only if you stay consistent. Now, I'm not going to lie to you. There will be days when you don't feel like practicing, days when you're tired, busy, or just unmotivated. And those days, that's when you have to push through, not by forcing yourself to study for hours, but by doing something small. Even if you don't feel like it, it's happening. Just keep learning, dude. It's working. I helped. It's helped you. If it's, can you subscribe?